Okay friends, one of the first things we have to do to get started on our flex hose is to safely raise and support the front of the truck so that we can remove the wheel. Now that the wheel's off, we have a nice clear view of our flex hose. It comes from the lines all the way down to the caliper. The best thing you can do is go ahead and spray everything down with some penetrant. Now we're going to start breaking the lines free. You want to be very careful doing this, not to twist the steel brake line. That one came free, I'll leave it like that. Do the same to the other one. All right, now I'm just going to come down here to this bracket, get my wrench on the bolt side on the back. Remove this bracket bolt and nut. Now let's go ahead and pinch off our flex hose to restrict flow. And we can remove our banjo bolt. Make sure you put a collection bucket under this to collect any of the fluid that might come out of it. Okay. Inspect your caliper, make sure that the crush washer fell off. Now we'd want to move up here and we're going to start removing these lines. Something to pay attention to is fluid's going to want to keep on trickling out of there, so we're going to have to do this kind of quick. What I like to do is just take my brand new flex hose, I'm going to start it in on the caliper, I'll put the bracket in here so it holds it for me, and then I'll have it up here and ready. So that way there, once I get this out of here, I can just go ahead and replace it with a brand new one, easy peasy. Let's get our banjo bolt ready. We've got the bolt, we'll put one of our crush washers right on it. I'm going to go ahead and put it through like this. You can tell which side of the flex hose I put it through. We'll take the other banjo bolt, slide it right on here, and now we can put it on the caliper. When we do this, we want to have it facing straight up and down, just like that. We'll snug it up. All right, that's bottomed out. Let's just go ahead and give it a couple extra cranks here. We want to make sure that we crush down those crush washers there. And then, of course, give the line a little wiggle here. We want to make sure that the flex hose has no movement. That way there we know we have a good seal. Bring this around here. Put that on there. Let's make sure that's nice and tight. Give it a wiggle. Let's go ahead and loosen up this line now. Like I said, brake fluid will come out of this, so make sure you have a collection bucket under there. We'll remove this from the flex hose. All right, that one's all the way loose. Let's do the same to the top one real quick. Now that I have both my lines loose, let's go ahead and remove this right here. Just gonna try to pinch off this hose right here. Just pinch off this line right here so it restricts the flow. There it is, friends. Before we can go ahead and put in our brand new flex hose, let's go ahead and inspect the lines. You want to make sure that the threaded area on those are in decent shape, and of course the area that goes onto the flex hose looks good as well. Check them both. Aside from that, the area on the frame that the bolt went into, let's just go ahead and give it a little bit of copper never sees for good measure. Okay, once you're sure everything looks good enough, let's go ahead and slide this right out of the way. Now we're going to put our flex hose in. We've got the little piton on the left side of it there. We want to slip that right into the hole on the frame. And then we'll just bend this right over, and then we can start our bolt in there. Tight. Sometimes, to be able to get this to line up perfectly, you might have to just go ahead and remove this bolt right here. Let's make sure that's nice and tight. Copper never sees. Let's get this bracket back on here just to hold it. Once you have it on, make sure it's not hitting up against the frame. You just want to make sure that there's a little bit of a gap in between there. Now let's get the top line on there. Once you have it started in by hand, go ahead and snug it up with your wrench. All right, nice and tight. All right, so now that we have our left front flex hose in here, the next thing that we're gonna wanna do is bleed the brakes. And why I said brakes is because we need to do both front brakes. I'm gonna go over to the passenger side. We're gonna go ahead and pop open that bleeder screw and let some fluid drain out of there. We just wanna make sure we have a steady trickle of fluid. We'll come over here. We're gonna do the same thing right here. And then once we close this off, we'll go ahead and do a manual bleed. I'm just gonna go ahead and open this up to relieve pressure. I'll leave the cover kind of hanging over it so no debris can make its way inside. Now let's get down to that bleeder screw. Let's go ahead and open this up. Now I'm just gonna let this trickle out for a couple seconds here. I just wanna try to get out as much air bubbles as possible. And then of course we'll close this off, do the same on the driver's side. Let's go ahead and open this up. Now I'm just going to wait for a steady trickle of fluid to come out of this. Okay, now we can close this off, check our master cylinder once again, and then we'll continue on with a manual brake bleed. Go ahead and pump up the brakes, please. Clear the pump. Okay, I saw no air coming out on that one. We'll go ahead and close this off, and then we can move along. Time to bleed the left front caliper right here. Go ahead and pump up the brakes. Clear the pump. Pump. All right. So on that last one right there, I didn't see any air come out. I feel confident that that looks good enough. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and put my bleeder screw cover on here and then clean it down with some nice fresh water. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and put our wheels up on here, and then once we get them on, we'll snug up all of our lug nuts and then torque them to 100 foot-pounds. Torqued. Now you just do the same to the other front wheel. Let's just double check our master cylinder. We want to make sure we top it off to the maximum line in both of the holes. Right there. Perfect. Make sure you close it off so it's nice and tight and sealed completely.